Hello, 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 and happy holidays. Welcome to Start the Beat. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about a show that is coming up in the Pittsburgh area on December 15th at Mr. Small's Theater. It is the Winter Wonder Ball featuring Back Alley Sound, Normal Creatures, Dream the Heavy, and Hemlock for Socrates. There's also going to be local crafts, local arts, local music. It's going to be a hoot. Tickets are only $15. You can actually get them directly through me and my band, Normal Creatures, who you may have noticed are playing, along with today's guests, Dream the Heavy, who are also playing. Again, tickets are only $15. You can get them from any of the bands that are playing, but it would be really cool if you got them through me personally. Screw everyone else. Buy the tickets through me. No, I'm just kidding about that. So I'm going to zip my lip and we're going to get into today's conversation with my friends in the band Dream the Heavy. Sit back, relax, and let's start the motherfucker. Hello and welcome to Start the Beat, the show where we highlight the past, present, and future of the Pittsburgh music scene. I am your host, Brian Sykes-Howe, and today, joining me, finally, a long overdue conversation, I suppose I should say, the one and the only Dream the Heavy. Make some noise for the internet.
Thank you. You up there. Thank you. I'm looking good.
Appreciate you.
I say long overdue, but I think in some ways it was maybe unfortunately timed, because I would say around the time that your band started to kind of make some noise and play a good bit of shows was around the time that I'm like, I'm not doing the podcast right now.
I remember. There was some stuff that happened back then.
So, but fortunately, I'm back and you're still here.
And healthier. When you take those downtimes, you regret. We were just having a conversation about this. You can't be good to anybody unless you have yourself taken care of first. Put your oxygen on and then take care of everybody else. So I'm glad you had your downtime.
Thank you.
Otherwise, we would have a miserable time together in this bedroom.
Hey, yes, this is still a much bigger
nobody would
bedroom
climax.
of sorts. I may or may not have actually slept in here before. We don't got to talk about
Honestly,
that.
I couldn't blame you.
Hey, there's a couch over there. It gets comfy. Anyways, what's up, everybody? How we doing today? Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
Man, it's good to have a conversation with you.
Man,
Yeah.
So glad to be here.
Yeah. Long overdue.
It is. It's all of us have been fans of the show from way back when. So we're absolutely honored to be here.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
I would be much more honored if this microphone was closer to your face somehow. You're kind of a tall
You'll
guy.
know.
How are we going to do this?
Put your ears on so you know
my ears on?
if you're reaching.
How about there? Is that fine?
That's great.
All right.
Nice. It's been a long time. We've been waiting to do this.
I mean, long time fans.
Hey.
Yep.
Well,
First time.
first time guests.
Yeah,
and
first time.
another thing too that I do
Dealers.
want to just get out of the way up front is that we're going to be on a stage together for the first time very soon.
Stoked.
Yeah.
Absolutely stoked.
Thank
So
you
amped
for
about it.
inviting us.
Aw,
Thank you for
man.
thinking of me.
Aw, dude,
I'm really
absolutely.
stoked.
We wouldn't want to do it with any other group of bands. With the amount of energy that we're all putting into this, we are absolutely thrilled that everybody is reciprocating that energy too.
This we're talking about is the Winter Wonder Ball, Mr. Small's Theater, December 15th. Be there. Don't be too square, but it's hip to be square.
Actually,
back to you.
Squares only. If you're too cool, don't fucking come.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you were saying, my friend.
It's I don't even where to begin with the Winter Wonder Ball. When we were still forming Dream the Heavy, TK and I would meet up at the coffee shop, the Black Canary, and just kind of bullshit and brainstorm and get all these things, and never in my years of being here, I've never seen an event that was primarily dedicated to Pittsburgh musicians or Pittsburgh artists, something that would actually facilitate them and show them off in the winter. It always felt like during December, everybody kind of hibernates, goes into their own. And we were just like, well, why the fuck is that happening?
Yeah, it's like a universally dead season.
Yeah, and even if you ask other bands, they're like, oh, we don't do that during the winter. It just seemed like a great opportunity to kind of stretch our legs and get out there and do something fun for the community. I've been involved with it for a few years now, and I coming from the Bay Area, in comparison to what Pittsburgh has, Pittsburgh is very accommodating. There's this strong sense of community.
Oh yeah.
There's a sense of pride that isn't there back home, and the Winter Wonder Ball thing was something that I wanted to do, that TK and I had talked about. And when it comes to bands, I think we got some of the best in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it was pretty gorgeous wish list that actually happened, and everybody said, yeah, like, man, like, you know, you kind of put it out there, and you kind of hope, you know, hey, you want to come out and play?
Yeah, we kind of got the perfect lineup for that.
And you guys came out to play.
Hell yeah. So, you know, it is all friends of the show. Obviously, my band, Normal Creatures, is playing. I need to preface that because I guess I play in 10 fucking bands.
Hit the button. Hit the button. Hit the button.
Oh my God, I hit the wrong button. It's
There it is.
Normal Creatures
Boner.
is playing along with friends of the show, Hemlock for Socrates. It's the only sound worth making when them two are around. You know what I'm saying? They know. And them little silly boys and the one and only Back Alley Sound.
Trash.
Fuck you guys.
Absolute fucking
There's only
trash.
room for one rap band on the bill. No, I'm joking. Back Alley Sounds, they're the homies. Yeah. They'll be on the show soon too.
Nice.
To also help promote this little ditty.
Oh, good.
Hemlock was just on last season, so
Well, that was the first of this season, wasn't it?
it was.
Yeah.
They kicked off the season.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're good to pop it with. As a couple.
Yeah. So, all right. Now we got all of our little promotional things out of the way, and there is one less hoodie on.
Nice.
Better.
Hoodie with the wood.
So much better.
Let's talk a bit about Dream the Heavy.
Okay.
So, who wants to do the sales pitch for the band?
What?
TK?
No. Well, the thing is, I don't think there's much to sell. It's a good being. Like, it's a great entity. It's a great experience. It's a
definitely is an
huge
experience.
happiness. It's a huge happiness in my life. Anyway, I mean, are you talking like origin story? Because everyone loves a good origin story.
You ain't Spider-Man. Nobody gives a shit.
All of our Uncle Ben died.
The collective Ben.
Yeah, the collective Ben.
But hey, you know, this is what do we want to say? A rock and roll band? Sure. How do you want to classify it?
I think that's the only way you can classify it.
A lot of
We've tried.
it's funny when I talk with sometimes some people on the show that are a little bit younger, and I call them a rock band. I feel like they're like getting offended by it
Because it's not
subgenre enough,
right.
Yeah, you know, if
It's
there
all
was
rock and roll to me.
People love their subgenres.
So if there was there's no hyper classification of what you want to consider Dream the Heavy.
We can go into little different things because everybody has their influences on it all. It's fucking rock and roll. That's exactly what
you heard
it
it
is.
here first.
It's
people.
bombastic.
Yeah.
It can be elegant. It could be detrimental to your health. It's everywhere. Ryan, I've always thought that Ryan would have the best answer for this because he's coming from a point where he actually got to see us play and then joined the band.
Yeah.
So it's on you. Whew. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is really hard to classify. So I saw these guys. I was still playing keyboards for Bonnie and the Mere Mortals. This was back in
Bonnie and the Mere Mortals.
2022, I believe. And
We're good. I spilled beer. Don't worry about it. We're good.
but I saw you guys play at the Battle of the Bands that Ryan Dowden was hosting, and you guys, this was
That's a
Shell
name I
Shock
haven't
Media.
fucking heard in 10 years.
Shell
Jesus
Shock
Christ.
Media.
Shout outs to Ryan.
Right on.
User boy?
Shell shock.
Shell Shock Media.
Yep.
Yeah, so this was at the Mr. Small's Funhouse, and this was only like the second show you guys played, right? I mean, it was early.
It was early.
It was one of a handful.
But I
shows,
didn't know that at the time, and they absolutely blew me away. And yeah, so I was like, all right, I'm going to every show these guys play from now on out. And then
You were right.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We got to play
In the strange twist of fate. So then I ended up, you guys wanted to do the live album. So we
Yep.
did this thing at Club Cafe, and I was still with Bonnie at this point, and they just wanted to like thicken up the sound a little bit. So I ended up just not doing anything too complicated, but playing some keyboards there and
singing. It's nice to have more voices,
I
too.
did sing a little bit, do some harmonies, and then jumped in January of this past year. But like, it is really hard to classify what we are because every single song kind of has a little subgenre of its own. So I mean, like, there's definitely some 80s synth pop in there. There's definitely there we go. There's definitely some 80s synth pop in there. There's a lot of like blues and funk in certain areas.
A lot of hard rock.
Yeah, a lot
A
of hard
little bit of
rock.
metal.
Definitely, I mean, Sully is a big grunge guy, so there's a lot of 90s influence there, but like I think
And
it all just
prog.
comes definitely some prog. But I think it all just comes back to just like straight rock and roll.
Totally.
So there you go. So there you go. Listen to our first single
Good segue.
Yeah, thanks. Nice. Well played, TK.
all day. Been working on it all day.
So what do you think we sound like?
there you go. That's actually
That's what we
probably
always
more
want to know.
accurate.
It's
I'm
always
curious to
better
hear
to
that. Us.
It's always better to hear, and you could probably attest for it. When you find out from people who've actually listened to your band, you get their kind of influences from it. And I feel like the more we hear, the more we absorb.
Right.
So it almost gives you a freedom to go that route as well.
I'll let you know after I've seen you live.
Okay.
That's fair.
I've like entered this phase in my life, and maybe this is a conversation we can get into. I've had this conversation with other people on the show too, where I have a really hard time listening to music now and like modern production, because like so much of it, it's like, am I hearing a band or am I listening to computers? I don't really know
Word.
what I'm listening to.
And the computers have gotten so good, you can't
is this
really
what the
tell.
band actually sounds like? I don't know.
Well, I think that's why we knew we were going to hit the studio, but we also had the notion, thanks to Paul, saying we just need to put out a live album because that's what we are right now. And in order to get people to want to come and see a live band again, which thank goodness it's happening, let's just put out a live album. It worked for Jane's Addiction. Let's just do it.
Just get
And
something
that's
on wax.
started working with Banked Alexander, and Banked is who is recording all of our singles that are coming out.
The cool thing about doing that live album too is you fuck up.
Yeah.
And there's no production or anything that you want to do to actually cover up those flaws.
It's absolutely
because it
gorgeous
does make
live.
you more human. And I think that's what's really missing from a lot of elements of modern music. is the scratches, the hisses, the pops, and everything that you would normally get from a cassette or from a record. But when you listen to a live album or a bootleg album, you get that feeling, you get that experience, you get those goosebumps. And we wanted that. We wanted to kind of capture that as our first release. And I feel like we did. I feel like if you listen to Live from Club Cafe, you're going to hear some flubs. And we're okay with that.
Yeah.
And when you're okay with that, then you're allowed to grow even more. The biggest problem, and I agree with you, listening to modern music can be a pain in the ass because it is overdone. But I think that has everything to do with people growing up and hearing those little sorts of things. Like a lot of the metal drummers now, they hear blast beats that are just fucking insane. But you can't tell if it's, an electronic kid or not. But the kids growing up are now playing to that.
Oh, yeah,
So
definitely.
now they're just fucking murdering it.
Yeah.
a lot of
right.
guys
So
that
I
have
think
that
there's a
drum.
benefit in that.
Totally.
However, but the human element needs to come back into it. And the production thing is cool. It's great to hear all that kind of shit too. But I'm never not going to put on a Dead Kennedys album and think, the production sucks.
Yeah.
Or put on like an LL Cool J record and be like, it could have been this, it could have been that. No, man, those things make those people.
Sure, and like if a song's good, it's good. It doesn't have to be
fucking good.
perfect. The thing that bums me out, it just makes it like harder for me to engage with newer production. Is somebody building a roller coaster? What is that?
That's my erection cycle.
That's the vibrating.
I would like to
erection
apologize.
cycle.
I
It's
did
the
not shut
implant.
off the pump.
It's the implant. It's
Please
on.
continue.
Paul's partner has a.
Apparently
remote.
that's
I thought
on
it was in the
10.
headphones
Yes.
for a second.
My wife is at home just hitting the remote like, let's fuck with them really good.
Well, anyways, I guess, hey, you know what?
If you hear
do it live, it's all rock and
That's
roll.
what we're talking
There's
about.
flaws. There's flaws.
There's flaws.
There's a beauty in it.
The thing that,
there
that
is.
The moment,
fucks
it's
with
jazz.
me, yes. The thing that fucks with me with listening to some modern music is not that it's like the overproduced, but just how it all sounds the same. It's like the same filter that
Yeah.
everybody uses on their photos.
Yeah.
Then that makes them all look the same.
Right.
It's like all of this music just sounds the same. It's like the same guitar tones, the same
Yes.
vocal. It's all the same.
It's
that
formulaic.
whole era with Joey Sturgis drum tones on.
Yeah.
It's like every metalcore album had the exact same drums on it. Like, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
It's weird to me. I don't know.
But I don't think I think it's always kind of been this way.
Sure.
And we all know the ones that do it because they are feeling it and they're or originating it, the fad makers, right? And then everybody mimics that sound. The ones that mimic it don't really stand the test of time. They don't have a long game mentality as far as creativity goes. They're here like, I'm here to be a part of something that's now. And I love this moment in time. I'm part of this generation and I'm thrilled about it. And they become it. And so much that they lose themselves. And this is every society. And I'm not going to go into politics and religion, but music and the arts are an outpouring of the community. So, but my point is, those people don't really stand the test of time. They're just living in their now, and then they go on to do their other things. The people that are expressing themselves in a new way and creating those sounds and living outside of that comfort zone that the producer is selling them on, or their tribal instinct to survive is telling them to do. Anyway, there's a history doesn't hold on to them.
Totally.
The Dave Clark Five and the Beatles. What's a more popular name? You know what I mean? Anyway.
I think a lot of that's luck, though, because it's like most people, when they're creating, they're just doing what comes naturally to them in a lot of cases. And, it's like not everybody's going to strike gold with coming up with the next new sound. It's like that. A lot of the times that happens completely by accident, whether you intended to or not. So
Because it's natural.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're tapping into something that is kind of in the neighborhood or a city that's getting their music scene happening again. And I like here in Pittsburgh. So I think everybody's going to inspire each other by being themselves the most. I think that's what the best art is you inspire other people by being your best version. It's be the change or be yourself. And, they're kind of the same thing. Allow yourself to change because that's what life is. But if you get pigeonholed into somebody else's belief system, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
More than kinda.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
You're fucked.
Until you realize that it didn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, but there's luck involved. But again, it's not a long game. Like the only way to have a long game is to realize that you're going to fall down, you're going to fuck up, you're going to try something. You got to try something. And you're going to fall down and you're going to fuck up. People are going to laugh at you. They'll call it cringy. They'll call it too weird. They'll call it something they can't comprehend because they've never heard it before. And those people that tell you they can only comprehend or like your shit because they've heard it before, well, that's not really the audience. That shouldn't be your value system.
Yeah.
Because they don't have value on themselves as an individual. Why the fuck could they ever value somebody else's individuality? I could go down this rabbit hole a lot because growing up as an artist, as a painter, and having your family, as all artists, musicians, your family telling you, oh, you're a starving artist, and it's like, man, when you go to the grocery store and you're at the checkout line and all the tabloids and all those, who are on the magazines? When you go to work and then you stay up to watch Johnny Carson and Dave Letterman at night, who are they talking to? They're talking to artists. And so what is the definition between a starving artist and those who made it in your mindset? This is the people that go, to their 9-to-5 jobs. Sorry, my soapbox just exploded there.
I will say, I think that mindset is changing. I think
I agree.
nowadays, the people are starting to value just making art for the sake of making art instead of, it's like people's metric for success is not the same as it previously was, and I think that's a lot to do with like how people value themselves. And I think that's a really positive change.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Not only that, the gatekeepers, back in the day, Motown Records versus Stax Records, it's now in our living rooms. Like NBC didn't tell you that you're good enough to do this. You know what I mean? Whammo didn't tell you, DVE didn't tell you you're good enough to do this. We took it upon ourselves to validate your uniqueness, your worth.
Well, and this all kind of comes back to the whole Winter Wonder Ball thing. We're not afraid to fail. We're afraid of not putting everything out there, not doing the best promotion, the most promotion, the over communicating, the silly bullshit Instagram posts. All that stuff has to happen.
Skits.
If it fails, what is failure? Is failure not having 300 people there that are just all talking to one another? I believe that the terms of failure and success are vast now because a lot of people are expressing themselves with their full intent. And going into that, I feel like this is going to be one hell of an event. I think we're going to have a really good time, and we got a lot of killer bands. It's definitely going to be a blast.
I think failure would just be like, when you have that and you're sitting down at the coffee shop and you're having that conversation and someone's like, what about doing a show in December? And someone's like, probably a bad idea. And then you're like, yeah, that's right. That's failure.
That's failure.
That's
fucking
point.
failure.
It's not showing up.
Yeah. And I think that I've, struggled in the way that an artist struggles, which is like just drama. It's not actually struggle. I mean, it is sometimes, but the dramatic struggle of the artist of like trying to think about like, what am I going to do with my art over time? And I remember, when I first started really putting myself out there as a rapper or a hip hop artist in the late 2000s, there was times where like, this isn't me like putting myself on any sort of a soapbox or anything like that, but it's like, it's like I opened up multiple shows for Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller, all this stuff before anybody really, people here knew who they were. And like, I was, I knew promoters that were doing shows with them, and it was very much like, hey, like things could work for you if you did X, Y, and Z. And for me, it was always like, if anybody's gonna like me, I want them to like me for what I'm doing. I don't want to have to put on like this Halloween costume and then have to fucking wear it every goddamn day for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
Well, it's like, that's not, obviously things worked out for some people and that's good. But like, that's the thing is like, those guys were genuinely everybody was being themselves.
Correct.
And it's just there was more people that were genuinely interested in them as themselves. And I could have easily emulated that.
But
I was in my early 20s and cute too. Once upon a time, believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it today, baby.
But now as we're pushing the big 4-0, maybe I'm still cute, but it's a little bit harder, when you're still doing music that is to some degree inherently adolescent at its core, and trying to like mature in age and still create age appropriate, which who knows what that means. I think about these sort of things like that. But you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's like I'm in a heavy metal band. I make rap rock music, but I'm also like, I'm a little bit older. It's like, I don't want to make music for teenagers, but I want teenagers to like my music. I don't want to be like Blink-182. A lot of people give me shit for like not liking Blink-182, but like but also they're just being themselves. It's just not for me.
Dude, I think,
it's just not for me.
I think if you think about it too, I think the trick is to not think about it too much. Because like as you get older, especially because like you're the vocalist, for Great Walk. So it's like you are the one who is sending out the messages. It's like the guitar playing can always get better, that kind of stuff, but it's not saying words. So I think like as your life experience develops, the things that you create and the messages that you send out naturally develop with you. So I think like the age appropriateness of it naturally evolves as you age. So I think like thinking about it too much would almost like stifle that, right?
Totally.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's, I don't know why I obsess over things too much. Maybe it's because I'm an artist. I really don't know why. I obsess over details and specifics. Maybe
Because
that's
you
it
care.
too. I would like that's a nice way of putting it. Maybe I just care.
Well, I just care. It's a Tony Bennett reference about that. But the fear of doing something that is fun because you believe that a number of years that you've experienced, decades of fun, should stop you from creating things that are fun for you is when you think about it, that's fucked.
When you phrase it like that, yes.
You know, I mean, but again, it's who are you doing it for? You know, you want the room to understand, but you know, if they're your real friends, they'll understand.
Totally.
You know, you'll connect.
I can honestly say that like I absolutely started creating the best stuff that I've ever made once I stopped giving a shit about what anybody else thought about it. You know, as long as I like it and I'm comfortable with what I put out, everything got better from that point on.
Yeah, I think that I've fortunately been in a position where I've never really given too much of a shit. But I think I care too much about what I think. I feel like I just need to stop caring. I need to stop giving a shit about what I think.
You get into Brian
to some degree.
feedback
You know what I mean?
It sounds to me like you have two eyes. You have the I am, and then you have your ego eye that is judging your natural state of who you were born as.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
That's what it sounds like to me, because if you are your biggest, you know, they'd say artists are their own worst critic.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's not you, if you're stopping yourself from doing it, that's not you.
totally.
That is that's a subconscious program.
Yeah.
Man, this got real philosophical.
Well, no. I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, I never stop myself from doing anything. I do a lot. I try my best.
It
I put out an incredibly unnecessary solo record over the summer that I didn't have to. But I did it because I fucking wanted
because
to.
you had to.
I just fucking
No,
wanted
because
to.
you had to. You had to do
That's
it. You have to fucking do it.
Yeah.
You got something inside, you put it out, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like
got
that's
to
why we
come
do
out.
it. We
Better
do.
out than in.
I always say, am I right?
Depends on who you ask. In's okay sometimes.
You know, but with that, like the creativity part of this then, because, you know, we'll just say I'm pretty confident that, you know, none of us are in our early 20s. You know.
What?
And
No.
but we're still here. We're still doing this and we're still having fun. So what is it about this for everyone here that just like pushes you to keep doing this?
Oh, I could get into that, but I want to.
I don't know any better. I don't know how to stop this.
Yeah.
I've tried and I failed, so I'm not going to try any longer. If I can continue to do this into my 90s, I'm hoping that by the time I hit my 90s, I can still play bass in a club, and we could do Beastie Boys covers, or we can do Slayer covers. We can do, you know, we could do that, like how all these old cats now are doing like jazz covers. We're gonna be doing like Korn. We're gonna be doing
American Songbook.
Dude, it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope, dude. We're gonna be sitting there busting our ass, learning how to play Blink 182, and you're gonna sing. You're gonna sing.
That's like
It's gonna be us four.
roll you up. You know.
All the what is it? Small Things?
I don't know. I don't know that band.
That's a lie. You don't know
know.
that band? Really?
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah,
I don't believe that
I know
for
the
a second.
name.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You absolutely, if you heard a Blink 182 song, would recognize it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no way
Let's
you can
hear
live
it.
in a. It's like it
Here.
permeates.
No. It's true. I'm sure. You know. Yeah.
You'd know it.
You would
I
know
do.
it.
Of course.
Yeah, you would
I know
recognize
the name.
it.
I know the name.
It's interesting now being in this time period. Like I mentioned Blink 182 previously, which is why we're talking about them right now. Where this is really like the first time where we've like seen like this kind of stuff, like what we could genuinely consider like modern alternative music, like enter its, you know, like popular bands like Blink 182. Like those guys are they're in their 50s now.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And they're still writing pop punk songs.
Yep.
Right? Yes. Yeah. And it's like, it's very interesting to see it like evolve because so much of like, I mean, rock music in general is pretty young, but so many of the legacy artists have kind of, you know, destroyed themselves past the point of being able to make music. But now we're entering this
Except for the
age
Rolling
of like
Stones,
these
baby.
artists that are like, I don't know. It's like now there's like, I don't know. There's like death metal bands and pop punk bands. And, you know, these guys are in their 50s and 60s that are like still kicking. And it's like, okay.
Oh, the new Cannibal.
Is it that weird?
Cannibal Corpse is still killing it.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see us entering this for the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. And who is to say like when things should change? When is too old? When is it not appropriate anymore?
I think we're in luck because we being in a rock, playing metal, doing all these things. And I recall hearing this at some point.
You young.
Keeps you something. But I feel like there's a stigma in hip hop saying once you reach like 40, you're done. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that.
Definitely.
But hip hop itself is what, 50 now?
Sure.
Yeah.
So why not? Why do we have to put that on there? And why do we have to stop younger kids from doing this? I mean, we're not going to tell the 18-year-old at In Stuff, hey man, don't buy that Stratocaster. It's gonna be played out in a year or two. I think everybody at every age should be encouraged.
I think that there's, you know, obviously, I think youth is always going to drive whatever culture, right? But I think that's why
where the money is.
Sometimes
There's other reasons for that too, but yeah.
like youth, I think like sometimes is like wants to see like, you know, they relate with artists that are closer to their age because it's, you know, it
That's
makes
all they
sense.
got. That's all they got.
It's the same thing we did.
Yeah. But like there's also no reason that, I mean, there's still kids that love Guns N' Roses or Jimi Hendrix or all of
Because
these
they've been
older
exposed to
artists.
it, and
You know,
they know.
it's just like, because like also those aren't artists that are like pushing away a young demographic either. It's just like we're just, well, not Jimi Hendrix, but we're just making music.
He's pushing up daisies, baby.
yeah. You know, we are just making music for everyone. You know, it's not necessarily for a specific age group. And if you go back to Blink-182, it's like, okay, sure, maybe they're old, but I'm sure that there's plenty of older people and younger people at their shows too. So what the fuck am I even talking about?
I think a lot of this comes from like how like the definition of like rock star has changed over the years because like you look at the bands in like the, you know, late 60s, 70s, 80s, and like you said, they were absolutely destroying themselves to the point where nowadays they can't play music anymore. And now like we look at it in a completely different way. Like all the musicians that I know that take this seriously, they look at it as this, you know, they're creating the art, but they take the business side of it very seriously, the networking side of it very seriously. And in order to keep doing that into your later years, you know, like everybody's laid off the drugs, not everybody, but like a lot of people, like they're not going crazy like they were in those decades past because longevity is important. And the way that you do that now, especially with like how easy it is for something, like if you do something shitty, it's going to get around real quick. And
No, yeah, there's that for sure. And I'm sure that also, I mean, hindsight gives a lot. And I think now it's easier to see like, oh, like we could see the lives that people before us have led and the things that they have done. And it's like, okay,
Short game, long game.
maybe that's not such a good idea.
Learning from some
I mean,
mistakes.
God, if I was a teenager in the 60s, I'm sure I would have done.
I don't know if I would have made it.
You know what I'm saying?
So this is something I was going to jump into a little earlier, and it was on the topic of the ability to have to reach large masses of people on your own, right? And so we're seeing this. And when we grew up, the mystique of the artist was fascinating. You know, there was Paisley Park, and there was, you know, Neverland Ranch, but like all these places, like, and now people are showing what they have for breakfast. You know what I mean? Madonna is showing what she has for fucking breakfast. So my point is, as people start realizing, and people are making careers out of it outside of the music industry.
Yeah,
the
look at sync
gatekeepers.
licensing.
It's a career choice. And so now the artist class is being represented on the same class as the industry human beings, you know what I mean, of whatever field. Or fucking let's say sports. Okay, let's look at, it's all entertainment. And if you are in a sports career, you have a health regime that you need to do to make your career last longer and longer. And now the individual from home sees this and says, I can make a living outside of signing my life away to a record label, but the only way I'm going to do this is the fucking long game. And you need a health regime.
Yeah.
Regiment. But my point is now I think that everybody can look at it as a really possibility instead of a luck. You know, being with the right person at the right time and then selling your soul and becoming Elvis and such.
Part of that too is like there's so many different ways to make money off of making music. Like if you look at sync licensing, you know, there's so many bands that exist now that exist not to play shows, not to sell merch, not to do it in that sense, but to just, you know, have music that backs TV shows and commercials and that kind of stuff. And, you know, there's different ways to go about it.
Well, you know, there were symphonic, there were conductors and people that would write for symphony. And, you know, there's Jan Hammer, you know, there are people that that, but yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are occupational possibilities for musicians, artists, visual artists, people, writers, people who move, people who tell jokes, artists, expressive. The creative class now has a larger platform than ever. This is the new renaissance because we'll start realizing it's not us versus them. It's not a creed. It's nothing visual that's going to separate us, right? That duality bullshit. When you start realizing that, man, the more you can be yourself, the more value you have.
Yeah, that's freedom.
That's freedom. And not as a dictator, like the more me I am, everybody will follow me to be me, yay, and wear my shit that looks like me. No. The more you are you, the more your kid gets to be themselves and their friends and so on.
That's such a good point, dude.
Yeah, and when you find strength within yourself and you allow yourself that freedom, that exhibits to other people, well, fuck, if TK can do this, why can't I? You know, it cuts down those barriers, it cuts down those borders and allows you to actually propel yourself towards something that is more meaningful. It doesn't have to be meaningful to everybody, but if you are finding joy within yourself, then you're going to exert that and other people are going to see it. Your light's going to shine. You're going to exude that. And I think this is a common collective between everybody in Dream to Heavy. We all somehow in some way have adopted or have always had this philosophy. And I think that's what makes this band so potent when we come to writing, when we come to performing. No one is going to say, hey, Paul, don't go shaking your ass over there. You know, you're an older guy. Don't do that. Or, hey, TK, let's not do this or not. There's an absolute freedom to do whatever the hell you want within this band. And it is, and you'll see it when you see us live.
Yeah.
And we're also very playful. Like Ryan and I will dance together every once in a while.
Constantly.
But again, within that freedom is strength, is power. And I think that's what is most attractive as a creative. When you have that, when you have that ability to put that out there, and a lack of fear. That's kind of the subject, is like a lack of fear. Lack of fear. But you can also allow that fear to propel you, because if you don't find something worth being uncomfortable with, then you're not really going to create either. So the fear, the fear does feed you. But
fear is just the unknown.
It is the unknown.
But fear of
you got to go into the
belief
unknown
system is going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
Fear of something you haven't tried before, that's still fucking you up. So
yes, it is.
So and you just need to disrupt your comfort zone.
Well, yeah, you put out a solo record this year. Did you have fear to that?
No, not really.
It felt really good because it was you.
Good. Yeah, and you felt comfortable with it, and you just knocked it out.
It was refreshing how easy it was to do something without needing the approval of anybody else.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, but I like that. I like working in a band. I like a
of
group
course.
setting.
It's healthy.
But
Sometimes you just need that solo
it's kind of
stuff,
cool
though.
to just be like, it's done.
I don't think there's a person
Because
who
I
doesn't-
said it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I paint. Like that's my career. I'm a painter. And that's a lot of alone time of not asking anybody when it's done. Being in a band is extremely, I love collaborating. And it's healthy for me to learn social dynamics. I shit you not.
Yeah, totally.
Dude, 5 years ago, I don't talk to people in normal ways.
I find that so hard to believe.
A lot of affirmations, a lot of self-worth, a lot of work, baby, a lot of work,
And Miss Mundock.
and a healthy partner.
Yeah.
You know, like
Healthy
who's
partners
your
will-
favorite
I love you,
audience?
Rebecca.
Who do you care that cares? You know what I mean? Like, who's the one person that you admire so much? Their opinion.
Well, their
matters.
opinion, and they're willing to tell you, hey, that
100%.
sucks as well. Like to have somebody.
You suck.
Yeah. You're like, well, no.
What you did suck.
Yeah,
It's
maybe-
Like, oh, I'm sorry. I was just being flamboyant.
But it's absolutely it benefit. You don't necessarily need a partner, but it benefits you greatly, and to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of that is outside of your creative circle as well. So shout out to all of our partners.
You
for
know,
sure.
for me, I think that like I don't have like multiple creative circles. I think it's all one. Like
Yeah.
even though I play in different bands, like it's all one.
Everything's
thing for
become
me.
genre fluid right
It's
now.
it's
so
all
connected.
it's all the same. And maybe part of that helps because it's like, I mean, bands share different members and things like that, or like other people. I don't know. It's just like for me, it's like one big thing, and it's just like, oh, today I'm hanging out with these friends and today I'm hanging out with these other friends, but I don't like have like any sort of different agenda for any of the projects. It's all the same. And maybe that could be a detriment to some degree, but it's like I don't push anything harder than anything else. I just push everything as hard as I can.
Word.
But you put it on a pie chart and it's like, well, okay, if I'm doing 10 things, I can only give everything 10%
No,
max.
but you have to be.
But I'm trying.
You only got
You just
so
got to
much.
be present when
Yeah.
those communications happen. This conversation happens. You have to be present.
Yeah.
Or you make shit for art.
Well, you also got to allow the
You're not
people
there.
around you to shut down as well. And I think that's when how can I put this well? You can't continuously push and push and push, because then you just burn everybody out.
Oh, totally.
So to have the outlet of multiple bands and multiple creative vices is killer.
Dude, I mean, communication is such a huge thing in anything with just like anybody that you know.
I fucking hate
Right?
talking.
And like, it's just,
I'm out.
it's just like, it's so important to know like where everybody's at. Like it matters. Like,
Word.
Like, how was your day? Like, oh, like you had a bad day at work, or something's wrong with your fucking kid, or something's wrong. Oh, like your toilet's broken. I can understand that's very frustrating. Maybe I shouldn't be nagging you about these drum parts today.
Frustrating. Dad joke.
But, all of those things come together, and it's just important to know like where everybody's at. Like when you get together for practice or you're in the group chat or whatever, it's just like, it's really hard to be productive in a creative space if the things that are outside of that are too much for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's like there's weeks where it's like, oh, we can't rehearse this week, or somebody can't make it because of something that has nothing to do with anybody else
At all.
Be something is very simple, but it's like, okay, I get it.
You have to understand.
I live a life too. I get it.
Yeah.
I think
So-
we're all pretty good at
You
that.
gotta-
Like,
yeah.
there's definitely like times when like I took like a month and a half, 2 months off. I was making career switches, trying to figure out what I was gonna do, and I ended up taking like 2 months off of the band. And these guys were so understanding about it. And then as soon as that was exactly what I needed from them, because as soon as I did figure it out, I came right back. If they would have reacted a little bit differently and been like, well, obviously your commitment is being questioned. Like, I don't know if I would have been so motivated to, go back to the time commitment, but like, that's so important. Everybody's really good about that. And I'm really thankful for that aspect of you guys.
So the thought, we love you, and we're so thankful for what you do bring to the table. You help us grow, and this is my point. When you are an individual artist and you spend all of your time alone obsessing in order to be yourself, right, and then put it out there.
We were talking about that earlier.
Right? Okay. But now you're in a band. And now you learn communication and collaboration. Now this helps you grow because you allow all these different backgrounds of music choices that you would have never fucking chosen on your own. And you now progress. It's dialogue. It's a conversation. It's a new mind. It's four brains coming together to create, or five now, thank God, to create a new mind, a new way of thinking. And Dream the Heavy is Dream the Heavy because there are 5 individual components that are allowed to be yes and on the table.
Shout out to Sully and Matthias too. Love you guys.
Sully and Matthias.
Yes.
Amazing human beings and riff makers and drum takers. That doesn't make any sense, but it rhymed. My point is to collaborate helps everybody evolve. And yes, it's very healthy to have your own thing as well. And it helps you be a better collaborator, right? And
Totally.
That's it. And that's what a band is. It's a collaborative mind. It's a hive mind.
Honestly, that even helps me with the band because like I'm working on a solo project right now that like
What?
maybe it'll I've been working on it for like years. It's like maybe it'll come out someday.
You really
Who
should have said this in the interview.
Yeah,
But
this
there's-
could have been discussed earlier.
Sorry, I didn't mean to break it to you guys this way.
We're so thrilled to hear it because we love his growth.
But it's awesome because like I'll be writing for that and I'll end up with a song that I'm like, ooh, this would be much better for Dream the Heavy. So like we've ended up with like maybe not entire songs yet. There is one that I got to show you guys later, but there like a lot of my keyboard lines and stuff that we've been doing in jam sessions have been as soon as I find out what key we're playing in, like it'll just pop into my head and I'm like, ooh, I wonder if this matches, and then I'll throw it in there, and then like a lot of the time it ends up working really well. And so we've ended up with material from that kind of solo stuff. So it's you know it's all multifaceted.
Totally. I feel like for me, it's just always super important to just be consistently creating without thinking about like what project is this going to be for. Like I've had things that I've just made that don't make sense for anything yet. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe a year from now, I'll be like, oh, I want to do an industrial album. And all of a sudden, all this weirdo dark shit that I have will work.
Yeah.
But sometimes some of that industrial stuff ends up turning into Normal Creature songs.
Well, dude, that's probably how you've gotten so good at it because like if you spend all this time working on one thing, it's like it's better to write 100 songs because you grow so much through
and regardless
that
of genre, regardless of box, whatever. Like this is what I'm feeling today.
Yeah.
Because like the way that I like all of my music gear is in the same room with all of my records. So in the same way where it's like I might want to listen to Bjork today, Faith No More tomorrow, Cannibal Corpse on Wednesday, the way that my brain is interested in intaking music.
Yep.
It's going to be the same for outputting.
Right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it's just like, why not like try to work on this kind of thing today? I don't know. Like most of the time when I sit down, it's never like, oh, I'm going to make this. It's, 2 hours later, I'm like, well, I guess this is what this is.
This is today.
Let me ask you this.
This is my creative input today.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So like in your creative process, this happens to me all the time. And I want to know if it happens to you too. Cause like everybody has their kind of own way of being inspired in writing. Like a lot of the time I'll be listening to a song and I'll get like a rhythmical idea or like some, just something like that. And then immediately like I'll have to go like write it down or go bonk on the piano or something like that. And I end up with, like a whole like 10-minute thing that I end up piecing apart. Like because your records are in the same room as your instruments, do you sit there and like listen to stuff and get ideas from that and kind of like, sit in the lab and work that way? Or
I think that I've come up with ideas in every way you could possibly think of at this point. You know what I mean? There's been times where I could be listening something and I try not to, this sounds like so like, of course he's saying that he's not inspired by things that he listens to. Like I am inspired by things, but usually it's like in a weird way where like sometimes I'm really big into dynamics when I'm putting together music and trying to put pieces together that don't fit.
more like moods?
Like moods or energies, and not necessarily like, oh, like I'm listening to Cannibal Corpse, say that again, so I want to make a death metal song.
Right.
But I could be like working on something like maybe like a hip hop beat or something for Normal Creatures, and I could be like, this like part just needs more intensity. And that's where I might start thinking about like what makes something like Cannibal Corpse so intense, and how can I incorporate that emotion into what I'm doing.
That's
or
wild.
on the opposite of something where it's like maybe we're working on something with Greywalker, and like maybe there's like this bridge transition part. Maybe we want to slow things down. I'm like, how can like we instead like guitars can do things other than riffs. So it's like, how can we do something more atmospheric that might be in the background of like a fucking like explosions in the sky song or like something that would sound like a synth part from a Bjork track.
Dude, that's what my brain, like, I've never done that before. My brain does not work that way. It's so cool to hear that kind of variation.
But that's not always how it is.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, it's just like, but things like that have happened. And I like that a lot more versus just like, oh, like, you know, I heard song that sounds like A, so I want to do A.
Well, that's the cool thing about that, because you don't really know where it's going to go.
Totally.
Like you have such a loose framework when you think of like a mood or like how something gets so intense.
It's so funny because so much of the time, because there have been times where it's like, oh, I want to make something that sounds like a metal song. I'll sit down and again, 2 hours later, it's not a metal song anymore. Because my brain is just like, I'm just like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And it never... I'd say the most common thing that happens is when I'm trying to make a song, when I want it to sound like something, it never ends up sounding like what I originally wanted it to sound like.
That's the fun of it, though, right?
I just let things happen.
The chaos organizes itself how it chooses.
Yeah,
That's
you
Ryan.
have to let the art has its own voice in a perfect world. That's why, like, I hate the idea of trying to force art or force myself to finish something. I have plenty of unfinished projects and ideas for things, and it's like, this just wasn't meant to be finished.
Yeah.
If it was meant to be finished, it would be finished.
Well, they always say, too, like, art is done when you decide to finish working on it, right?
Sure, there's that too.
When it's balanced. And I think
Who says that?
Balance, that's an awesome
When
way
it's
of putting
balanced.
it. I love that.
Who says that?
There's a lot of time. There's a lot of times where you have to realize that you just haven't become the person that needs to finish it because you haven't acquired the situation that is now instilled in you or appreciated or a life lesson or skill trade or
a really
instrument
good
or whatever. You just, it's there waiting for future you to finish. Like that's it.
We had a song
Yeah,
I wrote in 8th grade that I recently just finished because up until now, I didn't have the skill set necessary to like finish it off the way that I felt was satisfactory. So that's a really good point.
I remember reading the liner notes for Linkin Park's Meteora.
Okay.
And they were talking about the song Breaking the Habit and how it took them like almost 10 years to finish that song.
Wow.
And at the time, I didn't really understand that. But now I fucking get it.
Right.
Of course, I'm not going to understand it when I'm fucking 19.
Right.
That's half my life at that point.
Yeah, I didn't understand shit.
But now
when I was 19.
now I'm twice that. You know, I've lived an entire lifetime since the first time I heard fucking Meteora. So it's like I get it now. I understand that sometimes things take time. It's like you give yourself these like it's like you Bill and Ted yourself songs, these ideas that come back around, and it's like perfect.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're connecting to the end result, the higher self to meet you there. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta allow it. You know,
Yeah, that's why it's like, you know, there's I feel like most things that I've done musically have like been released in one way or another, you know. I have ideas that are unfinished, but like I said, who knows, I might put out an industrial project next year that nobody knows about yet.
No
Waiting
one.
with bated breath.
I might.
Nobody
I don't know.
knows about it right
I don't
now.
know.
Nobody's hearing you talk
The
about
ideas are there, maybe. Well, maybe to me they sound like industrial songs now. It could be a fucking goddamn
It'll turn
spoken
into a
word
death metal
ambient album 3 hours from now. Who knows?
It's another Lulu.
You just have to let it. Yeah, I don't know about that. You just have to let it be what it's going to be, though.
that
sounds familiar.
It's allowing,
Letting go.
It's allowing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're constricting your flow.
Building a prison you don't need to be in.
Yeah, you're doing the universe a disservice, man. You're fucking your multiverse. Am I right or what, kid?
Which is the name of the next record, Fucking the Multiverse.
Fucking the multiverse.
I love that.
Yeah.
So right now, you know, I know that you mentioned that the band has been recording songs with our baby boy Bengt.
Back to Alex.
Shout outs.
Love that dude.
Friend of the show.
Which
Friend in
one's the
general.
clap? Which one's the clap?
The one that says clap on it.
Okay, can I?
Yeah.
No, it don't touch it. It'll give you the clap. Yeah.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, so you've been doing that.
Yep.
And that's a very modern way of releasing music and connecting with people rather than doing like the big album thing, you know, just kind of like song. So is that kind of the projected plan just moving forward to just kind of roll with that? Or are you working on like a bigger collection of things to do something more mystical in the future.
Well,
I like that.
What are you
word.
thinking about?
We're just recording a record. I think we've collected some things, and Bent has been kind enough to lend his ear and lend his talents, and has opened us up again to a whole different world of music. I've known Bent for quite some time. When I was playing in another band in Pittsburgh, I actually played with Hemlock and Hemlock for Socrates while Bent was running sound, and I met all three of those people at Club Cafe the same night. But as far as like going and recording with Ben, it's been fantastic. He drives us. He allows us to be who we want, but then he also will add his bits and pieces to it. And if anybody in our community doesn't know Bent, try to get to know him.
He's Pittsburgh's Brian Eno.
Yeah, he's awesome. But yeah, we're recording. We got a bunch of songs. We're never not looking on the horizon to continue to record.
I would say the release schedule is a very modern thing, though.
Yeah.
Like, so the plan, as far as I understand it, is release a few singles.
Yep.
Drum up a little bit of energy, and then EP, and then album. So I'm trying to think who just did this recently. Sleep Token. Sleep Token just did this, where it was like single, EP, and then when they released the album, the EP was like part of the album, and I think that's the plan right now. No,
that's totally the plan.
Okay.
But when we did the live from Club Cafe thing, we just dropped that shit.
Yeah.
There was no single, no anything. We just wanted to get something.
We needed
out
to get
there.
something up. Yeah.
And now we're taking the route that everybody kind of does. But in the future, I would love to do another live album. I'd love to set it up, write a bunch of songs, and just fucking press record.
We have such a massive back catalog.
Oh, it's so
of
stupid.
shit that we're
It's so
working.
stupid.
It's unmanageable, honestly, because like our practices just turn into jam sessions. Like we always kind of start with one to get warmed up,
Yeah.
but our practices turn into jam sessions just out of nowhere a lot of the time. Like Matthias will be sitting there just like playing a riff or something like that, and then TK will be like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
and it's like
never-
jam on it for like 20 minutes. It's like, all right, circle back.
It's never a guitar riff. He's always just doing some killer ambient stuff.
Yeah.
And then Sully will come in and just lay down some of the coolest fucking drums. I mean, the guy's got an experience in drumming and a knowledge of drumming that dwarfs a lot of people.
He really does.
But he also knows restraint, and he also knows what works really well. And
He's an incredibly musical
He's a
drummer.
fucking incredibly music drummer. We're very fortunate. And so, yeah, I would love to just fucking put out a live record. But yeah, right now we are doing the formulaic thing because it's easier. No one wants to see a band and be like, oh, they got a fucking double album. Let's go ahead and sit down for 2.5 hours and try to digest all of this. You get a song out, you do it, and you go from there. But in the future, I would love
Plus
to just...
algorithm.
Plus
You gotta play to
algorithm,
that.
yeah.
Be honest. When the day comes that we're able to release what happens on a weekly basis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a song every week we get together.
Absolutely.
So I mean,
If not
it's-
more.
Yeah, and
if not
sometimes it's
more.
blues,
When
sometimes
you-
it's goth, sometimes
But
it's
when
hard
you have a
rock.
team
Yeah.
to work with, you can do that. You know what I mean? It's like, watching, on Disney, who bought, the Beatles, all this, and you see them come in and create, and then that's the album. And you hear about this all the time, with Motown and Stax and all in the 60s. This crew of musicians in Dream the Heavy is prolific. Like there's so much in each individual that when we're in a room together, songs happen. The first time I walked I was invited to the studio to meet up with these cats that Paul had put together. We could tell the story another time, or you could hear it in another podcast. But it's true. It's already out. Yeah. But two of the songs are on this album, and it was from day one that I walked in the room.
Day one.
Eyes of a Killer is pretty much exactly how it came out of
My
us that
favorite
day.
song.
And Candy was that day also, I think.
Yeah. I think that.
But it's and I do the scat kind of instrument, and then we'll write the lyrics from it. But like that, like note for note, Eyes of a Killer is like exactly like it was built in the first day I was in the
or
room
it's
with these
really
guys.
really close to it.
So my point is, there's no end to what this group brings to the table every time we're together.
Yeah.
It's so healthy.
Yeah, I don't think we're running
so
out of
healthy.
material anytime soon.
No, it's like you were saying, that the back catalog is ridiculous. It's like, now what do we choose? And as far as like releasing, it's like year 1 versus year 2, you know? And that's where we are right now. Like, we have a great catalog, you know, and we're looking forward to putting them out. We've started introducing them on stage. And when we do the Winter Wonder Ball, we will be playing a new song that evening. That it was the first song that we wrote with you in the room.
Second song.
The second?
I think breakdown we wrote with
You were
Ryan.
in the room as well?
Not for the whole thing, though. I think you guys already had that riff.
We
I
had
don't
it the
remember.
week prior.
Then I
and
just
you
fucked up
came in.
everybody's flow. Sorry.
And so the next song is
My bad.
It's called Escape, and you were there for the writing process.
I was there for the jam session for that.
You know, and you have, you know, for probably about like 90 other songs that aren't released yet.
Yeah. We're going to spend January writing, you know, actually nail down some of this stuff.
I'm curious. Do you see similarities in this sort of way of writing within Normal Creatures, within Greywalker? No.
Yeah, how do you guys write?
So Greywalker is very meticulous. Just because there's
genre.
There's a lot of notes and things that are happening. It's not the type of thing where like you can like jam and things happen.
Very few metal bands write on
Very few.
It's very specific. It's almost scientific.
Yeah.
You know, and
It's
like
math.
Yeah, and in some ways it can be, you know, and there's plus sides and downsides to that. But like one of the biggest downsides to that is that it just takes us a really long time to write, you know, and like figuring out like how to transition between parts and feels and make it feel organic and make it feel human. I hate when you're listening to a metal band and it sounds like you're just taking sharp turns. It's going from craziness to craziness to craziness. It's like there needs to be like it needs to all flow together. And like, you know, I don't really I don't really write anything in gray. I mean, I write the lyrics and I help structure. That's probably the thing that I do the most is I nitpick structures and feels and dynamics again. Like I'm a big feeling guy. It's like it all can't be at fucking 10 all the time. Otherwise there's no reason to get to 10.
Especially when you're playing a metal set. If you're at 10 all the time, you lose people like song number 3.
Yeah.
The
Well, one
energy
thing you lose yourself and then you lose people. You can't even keep up with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's like you need to tell a story. I like to think of every Greywalker song as a good roller coaster where you got to have, you know, some roller coasters start fast and some start slow and get fast, you know, and we have songs that do all kinds of things, but it needs to be a good, tight, safe journey for
It's a
everyone.
journey. Yeah, exactly. It's
Now,
a journey.
would you two agree, both being metalheads like myself, would you find that metal is looked down upon unfairly? Because I find that most metal that I've always been interested in, whether it be, you know, deathcore, mathcore, traditional heavy metal, has a undertone of a symphonic style of writing.
Sure, it does. And like, you know, and people will look down on it, but something that somebody told me when I was very young, working my first job at Taco Bell in Edgewood Town Center.
Love Taco Bell. Shout out to Taco Bell.
Shout out to Taco Bell.
Bean burritos all day.
I worked with, that was around the time that I was really getting into producing my own music. And, you know, having conversations with a coworker one day, just about like, you know, like, I don't know, like, just kind of about the insecurities that you might have as an artist. And like my coworker just dead ass looked at me in the face, was like, there's people who don't like the Beatles.
Right.
Damn.
And from that point, I'm like, I guess you got a point. You're not going to make everybody fucking happy. It doesn't fucking matter. You know, so it's like people are going to look down on the metal shit or not understand it. I remember we were playing a show one time, Greywalker, in like outside of Chicago somewhere. And this guy was like, I forget what he said to me exactly, but it was something to the tune. It was something to the tune of just like he's like, I don't understand all of this. I don't understand all this new growling stuff. But maybe one day people will like it, you know? And I was just like, I was like, you ever heard of Cannibal Corpse?
They like it right now.
Talking about Cannibal Corpse, yeah, like literally.
Again,
I was like, yeah. And he's like, their first album came out 30 years ago.
Right.
People have liked this stuff for plenty long.
Right.
But people get in their small bubbles.
Right.
It's like the same thing where after
Comfort zones.
anytime Normal Creatures, or more specifically when Normal Creatures was Sykes and the New Violence, because we played way more shows and we're starting to play more shows now as Normal
good
Creatures. Thank you. And thanks for having us on the show, giving us a stage to play more.
I honestly didn't think Normal Creatures was playing. Because I hadn't seen anything that you guys were putting out.
We hadn't been, because we were just been in the slow process of getting, the new songs together and getting Matt, our drummer, on board. So
Shout out to Matt.
shout outs to Matt.
I've met Matt and stuff. He's a really cool dude.
Yeah. But now we're ready
Nice.
and we're playing shows.
The time has come.
Yes. I mean, we played a show in July and then a show in October and then a show in December. So locally, we're doing good. I feel like every other month is fine.
Yeah,
for
because
a
you cannibalize your crowd.
Yeah, you
if
don't
you're
want to go
playing
too
around.
crazy. And I also prefer to play bigger shows. I'd rather play less shows on bigger stages than a bunch of like DIY shows. It just doesn't really work for what we're doing.
You've also done the DIY thing
You've
for.
put in the
done it.
time. You've put in your time.
I've done it,
Yeah.
and it's fine. I'm not saying we'll never do it again, but
It's nice to
anyways,
switch it up.
We're getting way sidetracked. What is this, a podcast or something? Jesus Christ.
It's a conversation.
What are we talking about?
We were talking about Normal Creatures, and you guys are just coming back around to playing, and how you played much more as well. Well, Sykes was the same. It was the same band.
It's the same fucking
It's the
band.
same fucking band. It just switched the name.
Yeah. Switched the name, added a drummer.
But you
started
stayed,
with the
you
metal
stayed
thing.
really prolific over the last number of years. It wasn't like you were just sitting around.
No.
We from the outside, TK and I, we were admiring Some Faith.
I was admiring Taylor Swift night.
Taylor Swift night. And then I mean, you've definitely stayed prolific, but Normal Creatures has always had a hold on me because I came from that rock rap era, because I embrace that part of myself. So and with the samples and everything that you've been able to do, and for fuck's sake, man, that fucking pedal board you would have that you would go through was killer. I remember seeing you guys at Millville. I was playing with Pretty Tombs. I came down, checked you guys out, and it was just absolutely fucking just blown away.
Oh, thanks.
It was just fucking killer. So yeah, to know that you're playing now and to have you on the Spills, pretty fucking exciting. And to have God Hates Unicorns, fucking assholes, just hosting this shit. I'm so scared of what Josh is gonna do.
Yes, they're hosting.
I am so afraid of what those two are gonna do.
Probably
Josh and
nudity.
Jess. No, well, it's an
likely
all ages
nudity.
show. I don't know, and I don't know. Maybe a few years ago they
Mental
may have.
nudity.
They may have, but God, those guys are awesome too. We're very fortunate with this
love
December
God
show.
Hates
I think that I would predict that I think they're going to be reasonably tempered.
Yeah.
Because even if you see like a God Hates Unicorn show, and I guess if Josh or Jess or anyone else from the homies are watching, an observation I've made of their live show is that they always start out kind of tame. And then they kind of get in the zone and it goes off.
They become the characters.
So if
It's
they're
the slow descent into
if they're
madness.
only
and Mallory
on
Knox.
stage for a few minutes at a time, they may not get into
That
full
character?
character. This
think
is a
they're
challenge.
They're going to be amazing. I'm psyched to see what they do.
We may or may
be
not have
hilarious.
invaded one of their shows. Yeah, we have invaded. We were asked to show up at the Millville Music Festival, and I had to wear this inflatable unicorn costume.
Oh, yes.
have to. You wanted to.
I wanted it so hard. It was fucking awesome. But they put on one of the coolest live shows, and I'm hoping that if Winter Wonder Ball is successful, the whole idea is to continue this, to make it bigger than just our band. I want to do it to where we're doing this every year. Fuck, if we can get the whole Mr. Smalls entity,
Yeah, that's
maybe we
the
can do
end game.
comedy in the Funhouse. Maybe we can do bands out here and add more vendors and bring more art. But if we're able to do this next year, I'd love to have them on there. I'd love to see what they can do on that stage, because I have a feeling that they will blow minds all over the place, or hopefully just minds is the only
I
thing they're
think
blowing.
Well, that's the thing, and that's the thing with Normal Creatures, and I think the thing with your band, or even with a band like Grey Walker, where it's like some music just isn't made for a small stage.
Yeah.
It can work. And I'm more than happy to play anywhere somebody will have me.
Yeah.
But if you have the big stage, the loud sound, the lights, and just like, I'm a big like theater guy. I like the performance of
Yes,
everything.
indeed.
I was raised
I
on
like-
Kiss
Yes,
and
indeed.
Queen.
I
and
like the fucking
Prince,
drama.
You know,
And like, I'm sorry, but like, you need at least a stage
Yep.
for there to be the proper drama to give a fucking rock show.
Yeah, it's-
And regardless of whatever genre it is, like, I'm just talking about a rock show outside of genres of music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a rap show can be a fucking rock show. A goddamn bluegrass show could be a rock show. I don't care.
Yeah,
But
it's
you
all
need a
about the energy.
stage.
Oh,
You need
I'd,
a stage.
I'd imagine that DMX put on one of the best fucking rock shows ever. Just his persona and how he approached everything. I never got a chance to see him, but I did get a chance to see Cypress Hill, and holy shit, did they put on a rock show? Like, they were incredible. I again, it was a 420 show back in San Francisco, but they blew. They had a disclaimer up there. It was like, "Hey, there's gonna be cannabis smoke, and you're gonna be filmed. So if you don't want to do this, you can leave right away."
Yeah.
No one turned away.
Sure.
No one fucking turned away.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. That's just like, that's like what I want to do now. You know what I mean? I want to put on big shows. I want to play big shows.
Yeah.
And just like, I mean, fuck, if I'm going to put in the same amount of effort to any show that I'm doing as far as like promoting and making things happen, regardless of where it is. But if I'm putting in all this fucking work, why not make
Why
it
not
a
just fucking
party?
Just make it a party. And yeah, man, I'm 100% with you. I think that there needs to be more bigger shows for Pittsburgh acts.
Yeah, and you need it's but the thing with
Come on,
that
babies.
is that it is hard to there is a threshold to get yourself onto a stage like Mr. Smalls.
Yeah.
Like, you need to there's a financial risk, and there's
Yep.
also the people that you know and favor. It's not everybody can do it.
I
It
mean,
may-
let's be honest too.
Yeah.
Like, how many stages that are that big can you just go and do a venue rental?
Exactly.
Like, most of them are.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, to be fair, if you have enough fucking money, you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
But nobody has it. We don't just, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I could book stage AE if I
Budget
wanted
is
to.
limited. Yeah.
But it's like, you know,
Who's gonna
but
be there?
But being,
Right, so
but
you have to-
the
you
thing
have
is,
to
if
build
you're able, the
community.
point that I'm trying to make here, the point that I'm trying to make is that if we start doing things like this and show venues that there is value in local entertainment, maybe there won't be such an aggressive chokehold on bands that want to do something.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, you know, the reason why so many venues charge so fucking much is because it's like they want to make sure that they're covering their asses and their staff, regardless if there's fucking 400 or 4 people in the
Yep.
room.
They got brick and mortar expenses.
And I get it.
Oh yeah,
I get it.
It's business.
But you know what I mean? It's also somebody that promotes events nationally for a job.
Right.
I know some of the deals that I'm able to get in other venues and other places of the country because we've built up a reputation with the venues where they're like, oh, okay, yeah, don't worry about it. We got, you know, it's good. There's not this like upfront thing all the time. So it's like, if we can get to that level with some venues here based off of doing killer events like that, it would be a really good thing.
If I can, I'd love to shout out Dave and Erica from Opus One, because they're really putting it down and allowing us to do this, as well as Mr. Smalls. And I know that there's other larger venues in Pittsburgh that are phenomenal, Roxy and Thunderbird, and what have you. But
Great city.
If anyone from the Thunderbird Cafe is watching this, please answer your fucking emails. Dog. I've been trying.
yeah,
I don't
get
care
there.
anymore. That's the other thing too. I'm done being fucking nice to
Oh,
people.
hold on. Okay.
cool.
No more. This tonight.
I'm just saying, I mean, with all love, great fucking venue. I would have loved to have done a show there. Answer
Yeah.
your goddamn emails.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Smalls, for answering your emails.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Erica.
What the fuck?
I know I over communicate, but I agree wholeheartedly. Maybe with the success of this, maybe we can show these fuckers that it can be done, and that is a big step. And I don't mind putting my balls on the line. I don't mind if you're gonna hate somebody for it. I don't mind that I'm the guy. I don't mind that we're the band. You know. That being said, I really want to say that the band that probably, aside from Normal Creatures, the band that really put us and got us into this was Back Alley Sound, because they have put in the time,
Yeah.
and they have put in the energy. They've accumulated the fans, not just
are
bringing
workhorses.
friends, but they have accumulated so many passionate fans
The
too.
thing that was really cool about Back Alley Sound, and they could be a really good counterpoint to me saying that you need a proper stage to do a rock show. Because I've seen that band play in wild places that make no sense. And I'm like, oh, this is one of the funnest shows I've been to in a very long time.
They're one of those bands that absolutely does put
Like
on
they
the
can make
same
a
show
party
for
happen
everybody.
anywhere.
Well, I think Miles is
So
just
fuck me.
unhinged.
You know?
love
big stage, small stage. Miles is going to put on a show.
Yeah. So, you know,
and so is
Him and
so
Jordan,
Shark.
the chemistry that they have together. I
those dudes.
love watching.
And
those
with
guys
Rob
play.
too. Rob's a badass too, man. I'm really excited for them, and I can't wait to see them at this show.
they're very much the thing that I always liked about those guys was, I mean, again, they had reached out to me before I knew all of those guys, not all of them, but I knew some of them just like acquainted through just the scene, but I really didn't understand what they were doing at the time. It was when they had just first started, and they booked me on a show that they were doing in the South Side at what was that place? It existed for like maybe a year. Was it like Karma or something? Or it was on Carson Street. I don't remember the fucking name of it. It was before Dream the Heavy was a band.
Karma sounds somewhat familiar.
It was,
end
anyways,
is-
it doesn't matter. Where the location of the show was doesn't fucking matter.
Okay,
But
was,
what does-
was it a big stage?
No, it was a small room.
okay.
I mean, it was a cool, I wish it was still there, but also I couldn't in good faith encourage anybody to ever go to the South Side for anything. So
This is
it's
fair.
probably fine that there isn't a venue there.
Except
right now.
Dream the Heavy.
Although-
Come see us whenever. We're on the
Although I
South
feel
Side.
fucking bad for all the businesses down there that have to fucking
Cafe.
suffer through all the shit that's good. Yeah, Club Cafe.
Yeah.
But
Fucking love Club
anyways,
Smiling
wow,
Moose.
podcast. We're getting sidetracked again.
All right.
Anyways, the thing that I really liked about those guys was after like meeting them, and it was funny, it was a very similar situation to you guys, where it was like they were doing a show and they wanted to film a skit to promote the show.
No, that's not original.
Awesome.
That's not original.
So I
I
went
thought
down.
we had something.
So I went
minds.
down. I went down
could've
there
something
and I
straight on
met them,
shoulders.
and you know we filmed the thing, and then we had fun and everything. The show happened and it was cool. And then you know we played more shows over time, and it was just one of those things where I started to like. The thing that I liked about those guys the most, the point that I was trying to get to, was just like it was a by any means necessary.
Yeah.
For those guys, where it's just like we're gonna fucking do this, and it's just like oh okay like. Promoters, like we don't need promoters. We don't need real venues. Like, oh, like our friend has a fucking resale clothing shop down the street. Okay, we have a
need to do
PA. Just bring the PA from the practice space.
The fucking first time I seen them, they were playing with Louis in Abstract Theory, and they were playing an empty lot in Bloomfield or Garfield, and it was literally just an empty lot, a makeshift pallet stage.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and then I was just
Nice.
fucking blown away.
Yeah, I played that stage once too.
We played.
It was like a first Friday show.
It was a first Friday
Yeah,
show,
yeah.
and I think me and
Oh
Panada
my
put it
God,
on.
yeah.
Me and Panada, I think, was
Yep.
one of the ones that was kind of doing
Yeah.
it. And fuck, man, that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Are they still doing that? Is that
I don't
stage
think
still
so.
there?
I'm not sure. No,
I
was
remember
all,
that
was
stage,
all
like-
pre-pandemic
Pre-pando.
stuff, and that was me
man.
and Panada, who that was
Yeah.
before I think they even had
Yeah,
the
it's their
location on
brick and
Butler
mortar,
Street.
Yeah.
OSHA came in and shut it down.
Oh, dude, I totally forgot about that stage. Yeah, that place was great. It was just pallets.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was cool.
But yeah, I mean, it is like a by any means necessary sort of situation, and that's cool. You know, it makes it work. It helps you like develop a community, and I think it worked really well for them timing wise because like there was like they're younger and they have like a big group of people around them that is also like younger and maybe just able to kind of just go around and do whatever, hang out. I can't do that as much as some other people, but it worked really well for them. Like I'm at this point now where like when I book shows, this is probably another part of me wanting to do bigger stages where if I'm booking a show and I want to invite people out, I know there's a large demographic of people that I know that if I say like, hey, come to Garfield to this lot, they're just not going to come.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, come to Mr. Smalls, they're like, oh yeah, I know that place. I saw a real band there once.
That's a night out.
Oh God.
But the mindset
that's
is,
what it is.
It's like, yeah,
Right in the
that
ribs.
is get a babysitter worthy if
Yes.
that's evening.
Totally. Cause I mean, that you know, I've talked about this countlessly.
It's an investment.
But it's like, yeah, it's like a lot of the time when you're inviting people to come out, like this might be their one night a week, or maybe even that month that they're able to get the babysitter or get the time away to come do something. And they're doing it to come see your art.
Yeah, it's pretty beautiful.
Well, that's what makes it even more important that other artists go out and actually support other artists.
Sure, yeah.
You know, if even just support one another, man. This is exactly what we need. This and I feel like this is why another fucking Winter Wonder Ball thing in December. There's nothing going on. Why the fuck are we not taking advantage of this? Because not a lot. And the other thing too is like initially this idea sparked from a few years ago when we were talking about getting a number of bands to do a New Year's Eve show at a location that had just opened up, and it got so close. We got so close. And I think because it didn't go through, that was the catalyst that drove TK and I to make sure that this shit happened, to make sure that we had the people in play, to make sure that we had everything lined up. Again, yeah, I'm rambling, but it's a fucking podcast.
It is a fucking podcast, and we are rambling, but we're also getting to that point where we should probably shut the fuck up if we expect anybody to listen to this whole thing.
Holy shit.
So before we wrap this up, I need to know. I'll put it up on the screen. I have the technology to do that.
All right, fine.
Product placement.
Yeah.
Do selfies too.
Okay.
Liquid Death is getting enough.
Let's get. Hold on one second. Let's get the selfie while we're still on.
This is so painful.
Before we wrap this up, obviously, Winter Wonder Ball. We want people to come out to that. That is December 2nd at Cativo.
Yes. Karma. It's at Karma.
It's at the Lava Lounge.
Yes.
It's right next to the lot.
December
pallet
15th at Mr. Small's.
Yep.
Theater, not fun house.
The
Theater, big stage,
Big
baby.
A lot of vendors, local vendors,
Great
as
local
well,
vendors.
Artisans and musicians.
We're going to be doing cheesy prom pictures. So it's
That's huge, dude.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. So we
all
want to
dressed
encourage
up.
people to kind of dress up, but you don't have to dress up. But
Right.
let's
You don't
make
have
this
to,
an
but, like, make a
experience.
night
You could do a Dumb and Dumber kind of thing and get your prom photo kind of thing. It's like
Yeah.
a prom photo, ball photo
And
scenario.
I might be a psychopath in putting more production into the Normal Creature set than I did for Nosferatu. So
I'm so psyched to see this. I saw the video of the
on
Nosferatu
up.
thing. It looked dope. So I can't wait to see what you guys
it
do.
was a fun show, but you're a little bit restricted when you're working within the properties of something that already exists.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
We're gonna be full normal creatures, baby.
Oh, it's going to be so
And it won't be
Wild
normal.
creatures.
It'll be anything but.
Do you guys have a
Wild
Do you have a
things.
theatrical wardrobe theme going on? You know what? Don't say nothing. Let everybody kind of figure
You're
that
gonna have
one
to
out.
come and find out.
I kinda
We'll just say that I have
surprised.
ideas.
Find out and come.
So do we.
And I have a month to get everything together, but that's
Nice.
fine. I'm
Plenty
looking
of time.
forward to it. So yes, that's Hemlock for Socrates. Dream the Heavy, Normal Creatures, Back Alley Sound. December 15th at Mr. Small's Theater. Hit me up for tickets or anyone else that's playing if you know them. These guys
We got him.
We got
or any
them.
other bands.
Hemlock's got them. Back Alley's got them. We'll get them to you if we don't. Well, hit us up.
And
I'll
go
drive to you anywhere.
go to the Instagram account so you can see all the vendors that are going to be there and support them and share, because that's what they're doing for you.
There's going to be links to all of this stuff in the bio for this. If you're listening to this on like Spotify or something and you can't get the links, just go to my Instagram and everything will be there. I promise. And if it's not there, these guys can beat the fuck out of me.
We can. Shout out to Matthias Brown, the guitarist for Dream the Heavy. Shout out to Sully on drums. the
Love you,
drummer
Sully.
for
Love you,
Dream
Matthias.
Heavy. We miss you guys terribly and love you madly.
All right. Well, with all of that being said, that is all, folks. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
Love
thank
you,
you, man.
man.
This was killer.
Of course.
This was awesome.
So good.
Hell yeah. You know,
you.
I will be back again next week with another episode, probably Back Alley Sound if everything goes according to plan. You know what time it is. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Brian Sykes Howe. The name of this podcast is Start the Beat. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you. Peace. And we're done. We did it. That was a podcast.
That was so fun.
Hell yeah.
That's a great conversation, man.
So cool.
That was awesome.